All right, Nick, the S&P 500 not only retesting the January highs, but eclipsing them. Where do stocks go from here?
Looks like we still have some room to go on the upside. We've had obviously very strong earnings in Q2. Back half of the year is looking great. And most importantly, interest rates still stay below 3%. It's like the perfect recipe for more of a rally.
Yeah, and the gains, at least on Friday, were in large part from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. He spoke at Jackson Hole, basically saying what we've heard for quite some time, that the Fed's rate hike pace will be gradual. Do you see some sort of pause in rate hikes coming in 2019? Is there a ceiling, and is that what investors are excited about?
No, you tell you, it was funny because Powell's speech really was, I think the market took it as very much a positive for stocks because he took time out to praise Alan Greenspan for not raising rates in the mid to late 90s and fueling the dot-com bubble. I think investors took that as pretty much of a positive for stocks. The rate market didn't change at all on Friday, and we're still looking for 3 rate increases next year and 1 more at the end of this year.
In terms of the Dow, though, the Dow remains about 3% below its January highs. Is that largely because of many industrials are in the Dow, and
yeah, that's
those
exactly
stocks
right.
are still in the blast zone of trade worries?
It's industrials. It's also P&G with an international business model, Walmart with a lot of overseas sourcing. So it's a mix of companies that are all leveraged to global trade. But yes, that's why it hasn't really kept up.
Speaking of trade, though, there are reports that we are near some sort of NAFTA agreement. Will that be viewed as a sign that, hey, if the U.S. can get a deal with Mexico and Canada, we'll also eventually be able to get a deal with China? Is it wise to make that connection?
It absolutely is, because ultimately this president wants to make deals. He doesn't want to put the economy into a recession. He wants to make better trade deals, but in order to do that, you got to make a deal. Seeing NAFTA go through will be a nice template to see what we can do with China.
And I think you would agree that trade has been the one factor holding the markets back at various times this year. So if that headwind is behind us, I guess the sky's the limit in terms of stocks because you still have that earnings growth.
Yeah, the one caveat would be like we've had a big rally, 13% in small caps this year for the Russell 2000. You'd see some of that money flow back into large caps. So the S&P and Russell might end the year up more evenly with the Russell and S&P being up like 13, 15% instead of the Russell so dramatically outperforming the S&P.
So would you be putting money to work in large cap U.S. stocks right now?
Yeah, we like large caps a lot. We think that at this point in the cycle and at this point in the rate cycle, and as you said, at this point in the trade negotiation cycle, they're the place to be.
But I guess it's hard to stomach putting money to work at a time when stocks just hit a record high. So when do we see some sort of pullback? We know August, September, October are traditionally choppy months for the market.
They absolutely are. And October especially is historically a very choppy month, and we have midterm elections to consider and whatever volatility surrounds that issue as well. So I do think there is going to be a pullback, but it's the kind of thing where investors over the long term should be putting money to work regularly, so not trying to pick tops and bottoms. But if you're a trader, I'd probably stay out this week.
Yeah, because if the market continues to climb until October, and let's say we're at, I don't know, 29 something in the S&P 500, and we get some sort of a pullback, we still could be higher than where we are right now, so it's not much of a pullback.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I mean, there's a reason markets break out to new highs, and it's strong levels of confidence. Now, we had a strong breakout in February, we had a big pullback, so that's the cautionary tale, but we do like the market here.
Do you think tech can still lead the market? If you look at shares of Facebook, they're now where they were about a month ago, right after that disappointing earnings quarter. So no real rebound in Facebook stock, and of course Facebook is real money stock of the day for today.
Yeah, that is a tough one because obviously Facebook has its own issues. They aren't going away. They're going to be under a lot of scrutiny during the midterm elections. So the names with controversy, the news, social names, much tougher than, say, an Apple, which obviously has worked very well.
Or the cloud stocks. I mean, we'll get earnings from Salesforce, Nutanix this week. What is your outlook on that sector?
You know, the cloud stocks are amazing, and the trend towards cloud computing, where people stop computing locally and just shove it off onto the internet, into the cloud, this is still a very early stage game. So regardless of how these companies do this week, it's still a great long-term investment theme.
And maybe that theme has more legs than the social media themes, which are, as you know, I mean, people are constantly changing the platform that they want to use, right? One year it's Facebook, then it's Instagram.
Yep.
Snap has had different, sort of levels of popularity with different types of people, different age groups.
Yeah, at this point, the social media story is really about emerging markets. It's what's going on in Southeast Asia, what's going on in China. And there is just not as profitable a business model as what we have in the US, and there's no growth in the US.
Let's also talk about Tesla. Of course, we heard from Elon Musk on Friday that it will remain a public company. Of course, we know that infamous tweet back on August 7th where Elon Musk said that he was considering taking it private. The stock is now back to where it was at that level. What is your advice for Tesla shareholders?
You know, right now you better be looking for that company to make some serious changes, because all the volatility around going public and then not, or going private and then not, I think has put a real dent in shareholder confidence. And so you're going to be looking for the company to make some changes, add some new board members, perhaps bring in a COO, really start to make this company more robust and more of a serious car company, because so far it's been more of a passion project, but it's got to shift now to being more of a real company.
Because the behavior of a CEO, that matters for the stock price, for shareholders.
You know, you have to take the good with the bad with any visionary CEO, but at this point, the bad is beginning to outweigh the good. He's done a tremendous job bringing that company into where it is today, but it's very clear now that somebody else has taken it to the next level.
All right, Nick Colas from DataTrek, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.